We don't see any break, Mataji. We can clearly hear you.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. Okay. Srimad Bhagavata. I was just thinking, even before the Bhagavad Pravaha starts, just with the Mangalacharana itself, when we invoke the blessings of all our Guru Parampara and the Lordships, it's just amazing how it feels like we are already there in Bhagavatam and we just want to be there. These invocation prayers are very, very wonderful. Okay, now Bhagavad Pravaha will start. We'll continue. We'll enter into the Bhagavad Pravaha. Yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam. So far we have heard Srimad Bhagavatam overview and then Srimad Bhagavatam in a nutshell, a summary of Srimad Bhagavatam in 1 hour. And then first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and then third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So now we are in the third canto. In the third canto, we have divided, right? The first one is Uddhava, Maitreya Samvada. And then Uddhava Vidura Samvada. Then Uddhava sends Vidura to Maitreya. So Maitreya, Vidura Samvada, second one. And the third one is, we have heard about the pastimes of Lord Varahadeva. There we have heard the description of Vaikuntha. And then after that, Kardama Muni, Devahuti Kada. Yeah, I heard all that. Now we are in Lord Kapila's teachings. In Lord Kapila's teachings, when Mother Devahuti came to Lord Kapila and asked, "Oh, my dear Lord, I am suffering with this aham mameti cloud of illusion. So would you please dispel that cloud? So can you give me the enlightenment?" When she asked that question, then Kapila Muni, Lord Kapila, he answers this. "Okay, oh chaste lady, oh dear mother, this aham mameti cloud can be dispelled in 3 ways. Yeah. And that process is called Adhyatma Yoga. This Adhyatmika Yoga can be done in 3 ways. By Bhakti Yoga, by Jnana Yoga, or Sankhya Yoga. One and the same, Jnana or Sankhya. And then Ashtanga Yoga. He says that first. And after that, he says, amongst them, Bhakti Yoga is the best. And this is how you do Bhakti Yoga. The Bhava Bhakti. So among these 3 yogas, 3 kinds of Adhyatmika yogas, Bhakti Yoga is the best. And in Bhakti Yoga, Bhava Bhakti is the best. That's the second point, right? Second topic. And he describes about Bhava Bhakti. And this is what we have discussed in the last session. How the Bhakti starts with the attachment to a sadhu outside. And then gradually, through the attachment with that sadhu, then we are taken from Bahirmukha to Antarmukha. Right? Where Shraddha, Bhaktir, Shraddha, Ratir, Bhaktir, Anukramshyati. All those things will happen. All the stages of Bhakti will happen with the attachment of sadhu. That we have heard last time. That is Bhava Bhakti. It means the sadhaka has attachment for the sadhu. The sadhaka has a bhava for the sadhu. The sadhaka has mamata for the sadhu. That mamata is the bhava, right? And emotion is there. But what if there is no emotion in the very beginning? When we start practicing bhakti, it's more of actions only. There's no natural emotion that is coming out. Then what do we do then? Very wonderful question Mother Devahuti asked on her behalf. Then Lord Kapila says, okay, if you are unable to do this, natural emotion and attachment is not coming to you yet, then you do the sadhana bhakti. That is explained later. Okay. But that comes in the second topic of discussion after the bhava bhakti is described. So now that bhava bhakti part is explained, at least the bhava bhakti part, the next question was, okay, this is very beautiful. You told me about the bhava bhakti. Wonderful. And you said you will tell me about the sadhana bhakti also. That's very nice. But just out of curiosity, I would like to know how the other two ways of Adhyatmika Yoga, which is Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga, what do they do? How do they get rid of this Ahammameti cloud by this Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga? Can you tell me about that? Mother Devahuti is asking. So, to answer that second question of how can yoga, Jnana Yoga, dispel that Ahammameti, he answers, the third topic would be Jnana Yoga. How Jnana Yoga dispels Ahammameti cloud. So in that we have discussed last time, right? There we have discussed in Jnana Yoga how all these, when Shambhu interacts with Pradhan, one after the other, the whole thing, the Karana Srishti happens, and then Karya Srishti happens, and at the end, all these 24 material elements are present, right? And then, so yogi, this Jnana yogi, he gets the jnana of all this, okay? And then, the continuation of that we will discuss today. We have discussed until there, right? How those 24 elements are formed, like that. So we will wind down that Jnana Yoga part now. Yeah, that we will do. After that, we will discuss about the Ashtanga Yoga today. When we discuss the Ashtanga Yoga, we will compare it with Bhakti Yoga. Then we will realize how Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of this Kali Yuga. Then why it is Harirnama Eva Kevalam only today. Then we will realize how the Paramatma realization, Ashtanga Yoga, was the yoga in Sakya Yuga. And after that was the fire sacrifices in the time of Rama. And after that was Vigraharadhana, yeah, the deity worship. They were the yoga of that yugas. But in this yuga, Kali Yuga, it is Bhakti Yoga, Harirnama Eva Kevalam, which is the main anga of Bhakti. Why is it like that? That we will understand when we compare this Ashtanga Yoga to Bhakti Yoga today. So, these are the topics. So we will wind down Jnana Yoga part and we'll discuss Ashtanga Yoga compared with Bhakti Yoga. And the other two topics in the third canto, the little topics are, Mother Devahuti asked about the time and also the samsriti, the life and death, the circle of a jiva. Those are little topics at the very end. So this is the whole third canto, and this is where we are now. Now we will directly go to Jnana Yoga, wind it down, and then go to Ashtanga Yoga. That's our plan today. Okay, now taking you to the Jnana Yoga. This teachings of Lord Kapila are very relevant to us, especially these. Now we have heard about the Raga Bhakti or Shuddha Bhakti or Bhava Bhakti. But when it comes to Sadhana Bhakti, that is so pertinent, so relevant to us. In the whole Bhagavata, that is the topic very much relevant for us to understand the Bhakti Yoga. We have heard, we have seen some in the life history of Narada Muni, But here in the form of teachings, they are given elaborately. That's in Sadhana Bhakti. Okay, now coming to winding down the Jnana Yoga. So in the last session, we have discussed about this, right? How Purusha is the controller of Prakriti, Jiva is controlled by the Prakriti. So in this way, we have understood the differences between Purusha, Prakriti, and Jiva. And when Purusha comes down and to Prakriti on his own accord, sweet will, he does the pastimes. Jiva is compelled to do the actions under the influence of Prakriti, and those are called karma that we have discussed. Okay, we also discussed. So now we are quickly going through the Jnana Yoga. Again, the purpose of this Jnana Yoga is, the original question is, how can this aham mamete cloud be dispelled by Jnana Yoga? That's the original question, right? So the whole point is, the Jnana Yogi, he will see with his Jnana knowledge how everything is so temporary, all material elements only, and all this Jagat is mithya, temporary, and only Brahman is Satya, eternal. So to understand this part, this Jnana, and to be fixed in that Jnana, in the contemplation of that Jnana, so much so that he completely detaches from everything external. Because all these 24 elements, all this Jagat is mithya, temporary, neti. He says, this is not me, this is not me, this is not me. This 24 elements is not me. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahma Jyoti. That is me. So that is their goal. That is their focus. In order to be Aham Brahmasmi, in order to merge into the Brahman, they are taking this route of understanding everything, obtaining the jnana, knowledge of everything that is there in this Jagat, and getting detached from this Jagat, which is temporary and illusory for them. And for this reason, because their focus is more of detaching from everything material, a true Jnana Yogi, a very serious Jnana Yogi, he goes to the forest. Any Ashtanga Yogi also, they have to go to the forest. In the initial stage, they're called Yoga Rurukshu, where they're still in the society, but they're preparing to get away from the social interactions. Once they go to the forest, that is Yoga Rudha, where they have to seriously practice the, even the Jnana Yogis also, seriously practice the Ashtanga Yoga. And then they focus on, their focus is on Paramatma only, even for the Jnana Yogis also. But finally, when their focus is on Paramatma, when they get, when they're able to see the Paramatma, they withdraw from Paramatma, from the personal feature of Paramatma. They withdraw that meditation and they merge into the effulgence of Paramatma. That is what Jnana Yogi does. So here, if we see the route of Jnana Yogi and an Ashtanga Yogi is the same. They still have to do Ashta Anga Yoga. Ashta is 8, Anga are limbs, Yoga is linking with the Supreme. So both of them take that route of Ashta Anga Yoga. But an Ashtanga Yogi, who after having darshan of Paramatma in the heart, gets the taste of that reciprocation with Paramatma and want to relish this and stay on the platform, becomes a Bhakti Yogi. And that Bhakti Yogi, like, Dhruva Maharaj and here Kardama Muni, these are Paramatma realized Ashtanga Yogis. They become Bhakti Yogis, and after that they quit the body, then they continue that in Vaikuntha. So they are aware that the Lord is there and they want to reciprocate with the Lord, and that's how they continue in Vaikuntha. So they are Bhakti Yogis. But these Jnana Yogis who withdraw their meditation and reciprocation with the Lord and merge into Brahman, these are Jnana Yogis. Right? So this is what Jnana Yogis are trying to do. Though their meditation is on Paramatma, their ultimate goal is to just get to the Paramatma so they can merge into the effulgence of Paramatma. So with that in mind, that effulgence, that Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, I am that effulgence, that is their goal for Jnana Yogis. For that, they take this route. What route is that? They study the scriptures, they detach from the societies and interactions, etc. And in this way, they are fixed in the jnana of how everything is illusory and how the Brahman is eternal and merging into Brahman is eternal. That is their understanding. That is where they are intellectually contemplating and are fixed. And the route that they take is still the Ashtanga Yoga. All the serious Jnana Yogis, they do this Ashtanga Yoga finally to get into, to merge into the Brahman. This is what Jnana Yoga is about. Right? So in this context, we have discussed their Jnana will be to understand what this Karana Srishti is, Karya Srishti is, how all these 24 elements are there. And when the 24 elements come in, and when the Virat Rupa is formed, when Garbhodak Sai Vishnu enters, Virat Rupa forms. This Virat Rupa is a form that is perceived by in the meditation. Though it is called imaginary in the sense, it is a form perceived when all these material elements are put together. The personification of these material elements put together is Virat Rupa. Right? So all these material elements are also energy of the Lord. So they're not exactly imaginary, but all these material elements of the Lord, when put together, that personification is called Virat Rupa. Okay. So this Virat Rupa is in Brahmanda. And this Brahmanda is covered by, look at here, the universal egg covered by 7 layers. What are these layers? The Panchabhutas, first 5 layers. And after that, the mind, the intelligence, and false ego. Panchabhutas are 5, and then mind, and then false ego. The 7 layers. So Virat Rupa is inside, occupying throughout the Brahmanda. This Virat Rupa description in the Shastra, again, this is the personification of all the material elements of the Lord. So at the end of the destruction of the Brahmanda, dissolution, then this Virat Rupa also disappears. Okay. This Virat Rupa, here the limbs of Virat Rupa are compared in many different ways, but especially in 2 different ways. The feet of Virat Rupa are considered to be Shudra. Shudra class doesn't necessarily mean the laborers, born laborers. Kshatriyas doesn't mean born Kshatriyas. Brahmanas doesn't mean they're born in Brahmana family. Not like that. Psychological inclination of a particular individual. Based on their psychological propensity, one will fall in Shudra category if they are more inclined to do a manual work, not want to really use their mind much, but more of physical work. That is Shudra category. It means physical labor, more inclined to do that. And Vaishya category is they are more inclined to do business. And Kshatriya category, they are more inclined to do managing, administration, protection, that stuff. And if someone is inclined to do more of studying and teaching and has the qualities more of mode of goodness, they are in Brahmana category. So all of us generally fall into one of these categories. We can have mixed ones, but one of those modes will be predominant. In that way, the feet of Vishwarupa are considered to be place of Shudras. The thighs of the Vishwarupa are considered to be place of Vaishyas. The belly, I think it's the belly, yeah, because Vaishyas do the Vanijya and cow protection and feed. It should be here. And next, the shoulders, the arms are considered to be the place for Kshatriyas, giving protection. And the head, where the intelligence is there, mind is there, is considered to be the place of Brahmanas in Virat Rupa. That's in terms of Varnashrama Dharma, how Virat Rupa is seen. And Virat Rupa is also seen in terms of the planetary system. From the hips down, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, Mahatala, Pathala planets. Okay, so there are planetary systems. And from the hip above, from the navel, that's Bhuvarloka, Suraloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapoloka, and Satyaloka above, right? Up until crown. So those are the divisions that are seen in the Virat Rupa. This we are discussing here because the topic of Virat Rupa came, and this is part of the Jnana Yoga. That's fine. So Jnani understands all this. All these material elements are there, but all this is Virat Rupa, but this is temporary, and this will disappear at the end of destruction, and what remains is the super soul. So my contemplation will be on super soul. I will focus on super soul. For that, I have to get out of this society and interactions with the society, and I will meditate. I will do this Ashtanga Yoga. I will focus on the super soul. When I get to the super soul, then I will merge in the super soul. That is unfortunate. Getting to the super soul, thinking that all those interactions with the super soul are also mundane, material. They give up that, and then they merge into the Brahmakriti. That's about Jnana Yoga. Yeah. Now that we have packed Jnana Yoga, so far we have understood what their goal is. That is Aham Brahmasmi, to get into that Brahman. We have understood what route they take and where they are fixed in the contemplation of this Jnana. They are very much fixed in their in that contemplation intelligence, and then they take this route of Ashtanga Yoga to merge into the Brahmacharya. That's Jnana. Now, so we have completed the second topic, Jnana Yoga. In the last session, we have completed the Bhava Bhakti, and now second topic, Jnana Yoga, right? Coming to the Ashtanga Yoga now. This Ashtanga Yoga is beautiful one because there is a lot of comparison with Bhakti Yoga. We will see that now. Moving on to Ashtanga Yoga. Finally, we could see Shyamasundara here. Yeah, the Bhakti Rasa. So Ashtanga Yoga, before getting into this, we have to know the basics of it and the comparison with the Bhakti Yoga. Okay, so Ashtanga Yoga. Again, this will answer many of our questions, and this will increase our faith in Bhakti, because we are getting to know about other yogas also, what they can give versus what Bhakti Yoga can give, and what it takes to do other yogas and what it takes to do Bhakti Yoga. And how is this Bhakti Yoga done? We will know all this in this session. So very pertinent to us. Now, Ashtanga Yoga, as we have discussed. Ashta is 8. Anga are limbs. Yoga is union with Supreme. Here this word yoga means union with Supreme. For Jnana Yogas, union with Brahma Jyoti. Right? And for Ashtanga Yogis, the traditional Ashtanga Yogis who are looking for Paramatma, their union is with the Paramatma, right? And then their residence will be in the spiritual realm after they leave the body. For the Bhakti Yogis also, it is the Lord. The destination is Lord. We will see what subtle differences are there soon. But this is the definition of Ashtanga Yoga. That yoga process which has 8 limbs, Ashta Anga, is called Ashtanga Yoga. That's the definition. This yoga process, which has 8 limbs, can be done by 2 yogis, as we have just discussed, Jnana Yogis to merge in the Brahman. And also, the Bhakti Yogis who get attracted to the Paramatma after they have darshan of Paramatma inside, and when they meditate upon the Lord, then when they get attracted with the Bhakti Rasa, they are, let's call them as Paramatma Yogis, just for the differentiation sake, because Jnana Yogis are also taking the same route of Ashtanga Yoga, right? So we'll keep this Jnana Yogis aside, because their route, we have understood what their path is and what their destination is. So putting them aside, the Jnana Yogi aside, now we will call Ashtanga Yoga for this Ashtanga Yogi Bhaktis who are meditating on Paramatma. That's the traditional understanding of what Ashtanga Yoga is. Okay. So, in this Ashtanga Yoga, what are the limbs? What are the 8 limbs? The first one, Yama, Niyama. Second one, the breathing, Pranayama, Asana. Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. 8 limbs, right? So what are this Yama and Niyama, these first 2 things? We will understand this better if we look at why these things are done. See, for Ashtanga Yogis, their goal is the Paramatma realization, right? It means what should they do? They have to become Antarmukha. Paramatma is inside, in the core of the heart. So they have to bring their consciousness, which is very external, Bahirmukha, mechanically they have to bring it Antarmukha to Paramatma. This is their process, right? So for that, what they have to do? See, the consciousness is outside, Bahirmukha. The senses are interacting with the sensory objects outside. So that has to turn inside a little bit. Means interacting with the senses and everything is in the mode of ignorance and passion. They have to turn a little bit towards the goodness. First step towards Antarmukha. Coming to the mode of goodness is the first step. So Yama and Niyama, do's and don'ts, help disciplining the senses. And in that way, overcoming the ignorance and passion and situate in the mode of goodness. That's what Yama and Niyama does. Comparing with Bhakti Yoga, do we have something like that? The 4 regulative principles, right? Those 4 regulative principles for us: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. Those are very gross. The yogis don't even think of doing this. When you come to the very subtlest platform of why those are not done, That is our focus. No meat eating means no violence. Not grossly killing an animal, but no violence in the thought also. It has to get to that subtle level in the practice of our Bhakti Yoga to understand why we are doing that. Anyway, so we also have in Bhakti Yoga these 4 regulative principles. Sometimes they're called liberating principles, which is beautiful. When these 4 things are done, both grossly and subtly, that will help us to bring to Sattva Guna, mode of goodness. That is, it is easy to practice bhakti when we are in mode of goodness, when we are more peaceful like that. It is easy. Bhakti can be practiced in any mode, but practice even more efficiently when it is in mode of goodness. In case, Antarmukha, Bahirmukha to Antarmukha. The first step is turning in a little bit by sense control, by coming to the mode of goodness. That is Yama and Niyama in Ashtanga Yoga, and we have it in Bhakti Yoga also, the 4 regulative principles. But there are 2 more things that I want to bring to our attention. It is given in Bhakti Yoga that these 2 things are also observed. But if we haven't paid attention to it, these 2 things they do it in even in Ashtanga Yoga, what to speak of Bhakti Yoga. That is Atmavit Charana. Give me a second, please. Atmavit, these are the beautiful words. This is Atmavit Charanarchanam. Yeah? Worshipping the lotus feet of the realized soul. Again, worshipping the lotus feet of realized soul is Shri Guru, the Acharyas, right? So they also have it. Atmavit, a realized soul, Charana Archana, worshipping the lotus feet. That is there. That is coming here itself in the very beginning, in Yama Niyama only. And the second thing is Daivat Labdena Santosha. Very important. We say satisfaction, right? In Bhakti also. Daivat Labdena Santosha. Whatever the Lord has given, being satisfied with whatever Lord has given to us. That is Daivat Labdena Santosha. This is the very preliminary thing in Ashtanga Yoga or in Bhakti Yoga. And this will help us to come to the mode of goodness. And the 4 important things, the pillars in the mode of goodness are Tapa, austerity; Saucham, cleanliness; Satyam, truthfulness; Daya, kindness, mercy. Yeah. So when a sadhaka is brought onto this platform, by following the rules and regulations, Yama and Niyama. Okay. This is how any sadhaka, Ashtanga Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, this is how they are overcoming the influence of passion and ignorance, by at least mechanically following this. Mechanically following this is in Ashtanga Yoga. We'll talk in Bhakti Yoga, how easy it is to follow that. So Yama and Niyama over. Those are the first 2 steps. We have discussed about what they are, and the purpose of it is to bring us to the mode of goodness. Yeah. Next one is, now that the sense control has happened, now asana. The body has to be under control and the breath has to be under control. Why like that? Because when Ashtanga yogis, when they have to get to Antarmukha, Paramatma realization, seeing Paramatma is not 1 or 2 day job. It requires thousands of years. That is why it was the yoga of the Satya Yuga, because they used to live for 100,000 years. So for very long duration of time, they have to sit still. So still that the breathing has to be stopped also. That's why Dhruva, in Dhruva Charita we have heard, right? He used to breathe once in few months. 1 breath. Breathing is once in few months. What about the body? It stands still for years together. So to get that control on the body and on the breath, they do the asana. Asanas are various poses, bodily poses, to help us sit in particular asana for a long time. And then pranayama is Puran, Rechaka, Kumbhaka. That is the inhaling, control on the ingoing air and holding the air and exhaling air. Inhalation, hold, and exhalation. So having control on the body and the posture for a very long period of time, for that they do asana. To have control over the breath for a very long period of time, so they can breathe once in few months, for that they do the pranayama. Okay. And what are the other things that can happen when they do this asana and pranayama? With the asana, all the doshas in the bodies are rectified. When we hear from Ayurveda, we will see that. That's why Ayurveda and yoga are very much linked together. All the doshas, kapha, vata, pitta, these are the three main ingredients, the doshas that are present in the body, and the balance. Whatever imbalance is there, that is rectified just by the asana of the body. Okay. And by the sense control, by yama, niyama, the sense interactions with the senses is cut down. By asana, doshas are rectified. By pranayama, I have to recall. There is something that happens with the pranayama too. I'll let you know. And after that, after the yoga and asana, after they get control over this body and pranayama, they sit in a posture, right? And by this time, they will have to go to yoga rudha stage. Yoga rurukshu is just planning, preparation, all these yama, niyama, yoga, asana, and pranayama like this. But once pratyahara starts, pratyahara means withdrawing the mind from the external, anything external. So if we are in the society, if we are with constant bombardment with people and things around, it's hard to withdraw the mind in Ashtanga Yoga. We're talking about the Ashtanga Yoga. So the serious practitioners, by this time, they isolate themselves. They just go to a secluded place. And that from that stage, it is called Yoga Rudha. From Pratyahara, once they start withdrawing the mind. So when they sit in this yogasana, in this posture for a long time, they still the senses, they still the body, they still the breath, and now they want to still the mind. Wherever the mind goes, with the thoughts like that, then they bring it back, they still the mind. So stilling this, the senses, the body, the breath, the mind, now the mind, which was all Bahirmukha, is now slowly towards the Antarmukha. It has come to Pratyahara. The senses are not pulling, body is not pulling, breath is not pulling. Now mind is also becoming Antarmukha. Focus is starting to get on to the chakras and to the Paramatma inside. That is Pratyahara. Pratyahara is withdrawing the mind from external and focusing internal. That's Pratyahara. Okay. And what happens with this Pratyahara? The modes, the contamination, actually interactions, the modes, they are overcoming the modes. And now dharana starts. Now that the mind is turning inside, from outside to inside, now the focus is starting. The focus, initial stages of the focus on Paramatma is called dharana. Okay, it is just starting to focus. In this dharana, they see the whole rupa of the Lord, an aerial view, an overall view of the Lord, all the limbs of the Lord, the whole form together. That is dharana. In dhyana, when the meditation gets even more deeper, they meditate on each limb of the Lord. We will see. The description goes beautifully here. They start with the meditation at the lotus feet of the Lord, and then the calves of the Lord, and thighs of the Lord, navel of the Lord, chest of the Lord, the neck of the Lord, hands of the Lord, and the beautiful face of the Lord, eyes of the Lord. Like that, each dhyana is absorbed meditation in each anga of the Paramatma. Beautiful stage. This constitutes to Nama Rupa Guna Lila, right? Here, the Ashtanga Yogi is in Rupa, right? Dhyana in the Rupa. And then he will perceive the Guna also. All the qualities of the Paramatma. Even they also have the tears of ecstasy when they're perceiving the qualities, transcendental qualities of the Paramatma. Also during this meditation, like when they are meditating on the calves of the Lord, Lakshmi Devi, who is massaging the feet and calves of the Lord, they will perceive that too. In that way, they're seeing the pastimes also. So these Ashtanga Yoga Bhaktas, their meditation is also on Rupa Guna Leela, right? But look at this process. This is beautiful. They are having darshan of the Paramatma, and Rupa, and then Guna, and then Leela. Like Kardamoni, this is how he has. And all these great Rajarshis and all the devotees who are going for this Ashtanga Yoga and Satya Yoga, this is their norm. This is what they do. At the end of their lives, the final few thousand years of life, they just come to the forest and this is what they do. Prithu Maharaj and Priyavrata Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Kardama Muni, all of them, Rupa, Guna, Leela are perceived. And then they quit the body and they go to the Vaikuntha because they are in Dasya Rasa. They are reciprocating, they want to reciprocate with Paramatma in Dasya Rasa. That is available in Vaikuntha, where the Lord is there as Narayana, and they could reciprocate with the Lord, serve with the Lord as a Dasya. So they are aware that the Lord of the Vaikuntha is the Lord of the world. So that awareness is there in Vaikuntha also. Here also the awareness is there. But that is how the Ashtanga Yogis, they start, the Bhaktas, they have this, they go through this Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, stilled everything, and now focus on to Paramatma, overall form of Paramatma, each limb of Paramatma. That's the Rupa Samadhi, and then Guna Samadhi, where they perceive the Guna of the Lord and then Leelas of the Lord. This is Ashtanga Yoga Bhakta. Okay, comparing this to Bhakti Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, for this, we have already seen this initial process from Yama, Niyama to Pratyahara. This is very mechanical, ascending process. And even after they sit, they go to the forest and they sit, and they start meditating. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi is so much dependent on the self-discipline. You see how hard it is to just detach from anything around, everything around, gain complete control over your body, over your breath, over your mind. And then with that complete control, you are just focusing within. This is all so much of ascending process, in the sense, so much dependent on the practitioner's ability. Ascending process means so much dependent on the practitioner's ability. That's one thing. Second thing is, whatever little bit of Ashtanga Yoga that anybody does here, they might be able to do a little bit of it or a lot of whatever is said in Ashtanga Yoga. But for somebody to have that Paramatma realization, as described in Bhagavatam, and to have those Ashtasattvika Vikars, that is generally done after a tapasya of so many years. And it is clearly in Kali Yuga, we don't even live that long. That is why it is not a prescribed method for our Yuga, Kali Yuga. That's second thing. Okay, Ashtanga Yoga is ascending process. In other words, so much dependent on the effort and qualification of the practitioner, eligibility of the practitioner. Second thing is it is a very tedious one, requiring hundreds of years from the description of Srimad Bhagavatam, at least to have the Paramatma realization. Little bit of body flexibility, a little bit of breath control, etc. Okay, good. You are having a wonderful steadiness, mental peace, and you are non-envious, you are fixed in mode of goodness. This is all wonderful. All wonderful. And that is possible. Coming up to the mode of goodness is possible, even with the Ashtanga Yoga, the control of the mind in this age of Kali Yuga. But to come to the practice, come to the darshan of Paramatma and realization, not in Kali Yuga. So that is tedious. That's the second thing. And when compared to the Bhakti Yoga, we are comparing this now. Bhakti Yoga, unlike Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga is a descending process. It means the practitioner may be unqualified in all aspects. There is no physical strength, there is no mental control, there is no sense control, and even there is no desire also. Totally unqualified. Even for those totally unqualified person, by chance, they get to meet a sadhu who is a pure devotee, or any devotee carrying the mercy of the pure devotee. If they get to meet a devotee, then everything is parked from there. The desire itself is the qualification in Bhakti Yoga. Even the desire is parked by the devotees. What qualification is required in Bhakti Yoga? Even when the desire is also coming from the devotees. Then how is the progress happening in Bhakti? Because it is a descending process. It is because of the strength of the practice of Bhakti. It is on the strength of the Bhakti that is given by a pure devotee. See, for example, Srila Prabhupada came here, his acharyas, right? Bhakti has been there for a long time in the scriptures also. Right? But Srila Prabhupada, he brought that Bhakti to tailor it down as a protocol for us. He condensed the essence of the Shastra without diluting it. He tailored, Acharya Srila Prabhupada has tailored Bhakti to a Kali Yuga Jiva who is very fallen, like us, like me, like any one of us. So that strength of Bhakti Yoga is in the Bhakti protocol that is given by the Acharya. That is where the strength is. How is that hippies who had no qualification at all, who had negative qualifications, not even zero, who were involved with so many things, how did they become pure devotees? Where did the strength come from? Srila Prabhupada came and he gave this bhakti to them. So Srila Prabhupada, a pure devotee, gives it to a practitioner. So this is all based on giving, descending mercy. Bhakti is a descending mercy. Right from the starting, from Sadhu Sangha Bhajana Kriya, then Anartha Nivritti, Nishta Ruchi, everything is because of the descending mercy. How is it like that? Again, what is that? Here in Bhakti, descending mercy comes in the form of Shravana. We hear from the pure devotees. Of all the Navavida Bhakti, Shravanam comes first. Bhakti starts with Shravana. When we are hearing from the pure devotees, or somebody carrying the message of the pure devotees, when we are hearing from the devotees, especially the potency of devotees, we will understand who we are, number one, and who the Lord is, right? So that is Sambandha Jnana. I am a conditioned soul, Jiva, and I am the loving servitor of the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, Sambandha Jnana. That is given by the pure devotee. Then what can I do to revive my loving relationship with the Lord? This is what you do. You practice bhakti. Oh, so that's the process. That is called abhideya. Bhakti is the abhideya. That jnana is also given by the pure devotee. And why am I reviving this sambandha with the Supreme Lord? Prayojana, for the love of Godhead. To experience the loving exchange. To be in that loving bond with Bhagavan. Krishna Prema, Prayojana. So this knowledge of Sambandha, who am I, who is Lord, Abhideya, how can I get back to Him? Through Bhakti. Why should I get back to Him? To have loving reciprocations with Him. Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana knowledge is given by the pure devotee through Shravana, right? So they tell us who we are. They teach us how to practice Bhakti. And they take us towards the goal, Krishna Prema. All this is happening because of hearing from the Acharya. We hear from them on one side and we understand it, contemplate on it, and do it with our body. That is called seva. Shravanam on one side, hearing, and then seva with this body. With this tracks going on, Shravanam on one side, and then seva. Seva is Harinam Seva, Vaishnava Seva, all these are sevas. So as the train is going on these two tracks of Shravanam on one side, Seva on the other side. That is descending mercy. That's what we call it as. So these tracks of Shravana, then Seva, of Harinam Seva and Vaishnava Seva, this is happening because of the pure devotee. Otherwise, we would not know how to do it. We have no qualification, but the mercy is coming down in this form of bhakti that is given to us through Shravana, and the change is happening. This is why it is called descending mercy. So here, the key part, the deciding thing, as Lord Kapila said in the Bhava Bhakti, attachment to the Shuddha Bhakti, right? That will bring us Antarmukha. Same thing. That is what is happening to all of us. We are attached to Srila Prabhupada. We may not be experiencing the personal attachment yet, but even for the new beginners also, newcomers also in the beginning, they may not be directly attached to Srila Prabhupada deeply in their heart, but they're attached to the process of bhakti that is given by Srila Prabhupada through the devotees. And they have attachment to the devotees around who is taking them towards the Srila Prabhupada. That is also attachment. That is how the attachment is going to be initially. Attachment to the process of bhakti and attachment to the devotees who are taking towards the Shuddha Bhakta. So in the initial practice of bhakti, in bhakti abhasa, bhakti, until at least the bhakti abhasa, this will be the predominant one. Attachment to the process and to the devotees around who is taking us towards the Acharya and to the process. As we get deeper, as we are taken deeper, then specific attachment to personal attachment to the Acharyas happen. That will, down the road, it will happen. Yeah? And that is when, that is the Bhagavata, where after purification, when we start to have these gradual feelings of attachment to the devotees, to the Acharyas, to Krishna, it will go further. this is the process of bhakti. If we look at it, the practitioner had zero qualification in the beginning. Just going on the street, not knowing where they are going, they happen to see Jagannath Rath Yatra on the street and they get some prasadam, and then the devotee comes and tells something about Jagannath and gives prasadam. Finish. Good finish. Then their bhakti life is starting. It means they got a drop of mercy. And then that drop just builds up through the practice of bhakti yoga in the association of the devotees. So in this way, this is totally a descending mercy where any unqualified person also can get the result. But in Ashtanga Yoga, unqualified person cannot even go to asana, pranayama, forget about the further things. Okay, that's first thing. Second thing is, here we said it is tedious for Ashtanga Yoga practice. They have to do it years to see that, to have the Paramatma realization. There are thousands of years, right? But in Bhakti Yoga, look at this. For them, the dharana, dhyana is smarana. When we compare Bhakti Yoga to Ashtanga Yoga, here, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. The very third step in Bhakti Yoga is Smarana. In Ashtanga Yoga, dharana and dhyana and dharana, that is in the very end stage. In other words, the results through the Bhakti Yoga are pretty quick. Why is it like that? Again, because Bhagavan has decided to shower the mercy on the practitioner. That's the potency of the Bhakti Yoga. In Ashtanga Yoga, Ashtanga Yogi is thinking, okay, I want to do this, I will go ahead. The potency is only self. Whatever he can do, he will do, that's it. But yaha, there is calling out to Bhagavan. So there is very potent. That's why Bhakti is very potent. It says Bhagavan himself. Bhakti is Bhagavan himself. How potent is Bhagavan? Bhakti is that potent. That's why the results are also very swift. So, in the very initial stages, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. These are very initial stages for us now, right? This Anartha Nivritti is equal to Pratyahara. Imagine how many years would take for Ashtanga Yoga Bhakti to come to Pratyahara. They are stuck with yogas and pranayama only. How many of Ashtanga yogis are breathing only once in 3-4 months this day and age in Kali Yuga? That is just pranayama. And what about Pratyahara that we are talking in Ashtanga Yoga? But look at Bhakti Yoga. Anartha Nivritti is Pratyahara here. Mind goes here and there. The passion and ignorance, they are striking us hard. But we hold on to the descending mercy again. Here the goal is Ardha Pravritti, not Anartha Nivritti, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said. So our focus here is Ardha Pravritti, service to the Lord. Each time we have anarthas coming out, we want to gear ourselves towards the service to the Lord, loving service to the Lord. In that way, the anarthas fall apart like that as we go towards the service to the Lord. Krishna Prema, loving devotional service to the Lord. As we go in that way, these anarthas, they fall apart. So Pratyahara is happening so beautifully, effortlessly. Why? Again, the potency of the bhakti. Because the focus is loving service to the Lord. It means bhakti, it means Bhagavan. Bhagavan is potent. That's why even the Pratyahara happens beautifully, effortlessly here, very quickly. And a devotee would come to a platform of Nishtha, where the mind is steady. Here it would take, we don't know how many years it would take for the mind to get steady in this Kali Yuga through Ashtanga Yoga, passing asana and pranayama. Yeah. So here in Bhakti Yoga, by the stage of Nishtha, the Pratyahara is done. And Nishtha is, at any given point of time, the devotee is steadily situated in the service. Yes, there can be ups and downs, but he will not give up the service. That is Nishtha. Steady state of devotion. And after that is Ruchi and Asakti. By that time, the Dharana and Dhyana is starting. In Ruchi and Asakti, we'll have the spiritual, our Swarupa is revealed a little bit there, right? And by the stage of Bhava, in Ruchi and Asakti itself, the Nama is, Shuddha Nama is there by the time of Nishtha and Ruchi. And Asakti, Nama, Rupa Guna. Rupa Guna are already perceived by the stage of Ruchi and Asakti. And Rupa Guna Leela. They're already seeing. And this happens in Bhakti Yoga. This can happen in one lifetime in a Bhakti Yoga. In one lifetime. Yeah? When the descending mercy is flowing so much, and when somebody receives it all, this can happen in one lifetime. In Ashtanga Yoga, can that happen in one lifetime? It's very obvious, right? So, and there in Bhakti Yoga, so when one comes to Asakti Ruchi, by that time they will have Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, especially until Guna and Rupa and Guna. By Bhava, the Leelas are very evident because they have complete spiritual form within. So all this can happen in one lifetime in Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga. In Ashtanga Yoga, it would take. It's very clear how long it would take. Now, putting this facts, information together, what is the yoga of this Kali Yoga? To get to that stages of Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, with this kind of body that we have, with this kind of lifespan we have, with this kind of disqualifications we have, what is the yoga of choice in this Bhakti Yoga, in this Kali Yoga, right? Clearly, Bhakti Yoga, because it is very potent. Bhakti Yoga is Bhagavan himself, and that's why very potent. Kali Yoga is very fallen. That's why we need very potent. That's why we need Bhagavan. Bhagavan is equal to Bhakti. That is why Bhakti is the way to go in Kali Yuga. And the Bhakti is so much dependent on the Harinam. That is why in Kali Santarana Upanishad it is said, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. Kalau na asti eva, na asti eva, na asti eva gatiranyara. 3 times. Why is it saying 3 times emphatically? Now we see. Jnana Yoga is out of question. Ashtanga Yoga, even to come to Pranayama, as we already said, who is breathing once in 3 months here? Yeah. So what is the yoga that is left over? The Bhakti Yoga. For the very fallen ones in Kali Yuga, with all defects of Kali Yuga, the very potent one, which is Bhagavan himself, is Bhakti. That's why Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of the Kali Yuga. That's the comparison of Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. And this is why Bhakti Yoga is the way to go in Kali Yuga. This is all we need to hear this, the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. How then our faith and enthusiasm gets deepened and we are just there with no shaking at all. So these are the facts that we need to hear. And now we will pause this session with the meditation on the Lord. 3 shlokas, and then we'll pause. Because Ashtanga Yoga is all about meditation of the Lord. We have discussed enough about Yama, Niyama, Pranayama, Asana, Prana, Pratyahara. What happens in Dharana and Dhyana? And here, when we come to Ruchi and Asakti, Bhagavan is perceived. This is why we are doing all the yogas, right? To have that darshan of Bhagavan, to have reciprocation. So how is that Bhagavan looking? Here we'll quickly go over the slides. We will not have time to go into all this wonderful, beautiful description of the Lord. But we will just take 2 or 3. But this is Dharana though. Dharana, as we described. Having darshan of the Lord on whole, the total whole body together. That is dharana. And this is all dharana. Beautiful form of the Lord. I feel like so much of nectar, but we are not able to have, but at least we get to see the beauty of the Lord. So these are all the descriptions of the Lord. And after dharana comes dhyana. Dhyana is from one anga to anga, as we have discussed. So starting from, see, the lotus feet of the Lord. The description of the lotus feet of the Lord is given here. And after the lotus feet, the yogi meditates on the lotus feet of the Lord. And here, the lotus feet of the Lord, that's the origin of Ganga, Mother Ganga, who is held high in the Jata Juta of Lord Shiva, right? So this is the description of the Lord and the lotus feet of the Lord and the relevant devotee of the lotus feet of the Lord. There is Ganga, since it is flowing from there. When Trivikrama pierced the Brahmanda, when he came as Vamana, he became very big as Trivikrama. He pierced the Brahmanda, and the transcendental water came down to the material world in the form of Ganga. So that was the description there at the lotus feet. And next, after the lotus feet, are calves of the Lord. Oh, Mother Lakshmi is massaging the calves of the Lord. So these are in the dhyana, there is perception of the rupa, guna, and the pastimes. Pastimes are the interaction of the Lord and the devotees here, Lakshmi Devi and Mahavishnu here. So these are the pastimes of the Lord. The Bhagavatam says, this description of the Lord is not complete without describing the pastimes of the Lord and the devotees. And here the beautiful description of Lakshmi Devi massaging the lotus feet of the Lord is given. And then, so we see, for the lotus feet, Ganga Devi is given. For the calves, Lakshmi Devi's pastime given. And now the thighs, beautiful description of the thighs is given. And then how Garuda, when Lord rests on the shoulders of Garuda, that description is here. So here the pastime with this devotee Garuda. And then Nabhi of the Lord, the beautiful navel of the Lord, that description is given. And about the chest of the Lord and beautiful nipples of the Lord, like white pearls, that description is given. And about the hands of the Lord, beautiful ornaments on the hands of the Lord. And here the description is when there was Kshilasagara Madanam, churning of the milk ocean, in the Kurma Avatara, when the Mantara mountain was placed on the back of the turtle, Kurma Avatara, that Mandara mountain was like a scratch on the back, and it was polishing the ornaments of the Lord. So that was the pastime that was described here in the description of the arms and the ornaments of the arms. And after that, beautiful Mukharavindam of the Lord, the lotus face of the Lord. So all these, and then each, Shankha Chakra, Gada and Padma. About these also, all these descriptions are given. Here, this is about Gada, the club that the Lord holds. This is called Kaumudaki. Kaumodakim Bhagavato Dayitam Smareta Diktam Arati Bhata Shonita Kardhamena Malam Madhuvrata Varutha Girupa Gushtam Chaityasya Tattvam Amalam Marimanas Chaityasya Tattvam Amalam Marimasya Kante. This is very beautiful. We cannot really break down each word and go relish it. But this is about the description of the Lord ways. And here the pearls of the in the necklace of the Lord. They are described as, these pearls are like the devotees ornamenting the neck of the Lord. And the club of the Lord is tainted with the blood of the demons because the Lord is busy protecting the devotees and killing the demons. That's about the club. And about the compassionate glances of the Lord. Tasyavalokam vipayati ghora tapatrayopasamanaya nishritam akshuno snigdha smitanuganitam vipula prasadam yayet chiram vipula bhavanaya guhayam. These are the beautiful cooling glances of the Lord. Hasam hareravanata kilaloka tivra shokashru sagara vishoshanamachhudaram sammohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya mandalam munikrite makaradhvajasya. Hasam hareravanata. This will be the last sloka. At least we'll finish one sloka. This is the last one, and we'll pause. Actually, two are there. About the face of the lotus face of the Lord. This is one sloka, and there's one more sloka about the lotus feet of the Lord. These two slokas will relish and will pause. Yeah. Hasam harer avanata akila lokativra. The hasam, the beautiful smile on the Lord's lotus face is avanata akila loka tivra sokashru sagara vishoshanam achyudaram. Basically, it's saying the smile of the Lord, smile on the lotus face of the Lord is akila loka tivra sokashru sagara. All the miseries in the world when they're forming the oceans, and those oceans are coming down as tears from the devotees' eyes, all those tears are evaporated just with the glance of the Lord. So Kashva Sagara Vishoshanam Atyudaram. Atyudaram. Very mercifully, just with the smile, the Lord is drying up the tears that are rolling down on the devotees' cheeks, which are because of the miserable ocean of modes in this material world. Just the smile of the glance are just wiping the tears or drying up the tears on the cheeks of the devotees. That is the cooling effect of the Lord's smile. And then Sammohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya bhumandalam munikrite makaradvajasya. The beauty of the eyebrows. These eyebrows are like the bows of the Cupid. And when somebody is really affected with lust on a bodily platform, then all that lust is cooled down by the Cupid-like eyebrows of the Lord. This is in relevance to the Dandakaranya rishis. All the rishis, they were in male bodies, and they wanted Sri Ramachandra as the husband. That is the beauty of the Lord. Yeah? So this is a description about the eyebrows of the Lord. Bhrumandala munikrite makaradvajasya. The last one is on, let's do the lotus feet. Where is the lotus feet of the Lord? We will do that. All description of all the signs on the lotus feet of the Lord. We cannot end this session. Yeah, with this we can end. We have seen these pictures also, right? Different signs of the Lord in Vrindavanam. When Lord Krishna walks, all these signs are imprinted on the dust of Vrindavan. This is how all the Brajavasis knew that Krishna has passed that way. so nobody would step on them. On the footprints, what are they? Sanchintayat Bhagavata's Charanara Vindam Vajram Kushadvaja Saroru Halanchanadhyam Uttungarakta Vilasan Nakachakravala Josnabhirahata Mahatrudayandakaram Sanchintayat Bhagavatas Charanara Vindam. Oh mind, please meditate on this Bhagavatas Charana Aravinda, lotus feet of the Lord. In the lotus feet of the Lord are there Vajra, Ankusha, Dvaja, the flag, Saroruha, the lotus flower, Lanchana, Adyam, all these symbols there. Yeah. And not each symbol actually specifies something. Just to give you an example, this lotus flower here symbolizes how soft the lotus feet of the Lord are. How fragrant the lotus feet of the Lord are. And the flag here symbolizes whoever takes a bhakti are bound to win, because bhakti is Bhagavan himself, very potent. And the club here, this symbolizes, this smashes all the karma that the bhakta has. This is how one is put from karma cycle to bhakti cycle, because all the karma is smashed away. With this, this is thunderbolt, right? And the umbrella. Remember the prayers of the sense devatas? This is what they were singing, praying. Your lotus feet are like umbrella. How? Because they will keep us dry from getting wet from all the tapatrayas, the miseries. Like that, the conch shell also indicates success is guaranteed for a bhakta, whoever is taking shelter of this lotus feet, like that. So each symbol has a beautiful meaning and it represents something. So all the symbols are present. On top of that, what is there? Uttungarakta Vilasan Nakachakravala, the lotus feet. The toes of the nails of the lotus feet are situated little high. The nails of the lotus feet are situated on the raised toes of the Lord. And Josnabhirahata Mahathridayandakaram, the effulgence that is emanating from the toes of the lotus feet of the Lord is dissipating the darkness that is present in the heart. That's the description of the lotus feet. And that is the effect of meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. We will pause here. This is all yogas put together in one session. We have discussed Jnana Yoga. What is their goal? That is Aham Brahmasmi Brahmajyoti, and the path that they take. Right? And after that, we have discussed Ashtanga Yoga, different limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. And what is the purpose of these limbs of Ashtanga Yoga? To turn from Bahir Mukha to Antar Mukha gradually. And the Bhakti Yogi in Ashtanga Yoga also gets to perceive the Nama Rupa Guna Leela of the Lord. And after quitting the body, they go to Vaikuntha. But this is, a lot of it is an ascending process and it is very tedious, taking many years. Then we compare to Bhakti Yoga. How the Yama Niyama are already followed by 4 regulative principles like that. And how Bhakti Yoga is totally a descending process. We don't need to have any qualification. All that we need is receive the descending mercy. In other words, follow the bhakti that is given to us. Receiving descending mercy is very good. Irreplaceable word, but if we have to say it in a practical way, Shravanam of the Acharyas will tell us how to do bhakti, gives us the knowledge of Sambandha, who we are, how to revive our relationship with the Lord. So continuing Shravanam on one side, based on the Shravanam, based on the teachings of the acharyas of how to do bhakti, how to do seva, how to do japa. We receive all that information in this channel of Shravanam. And then we start doing it. And that doing is seva. So Shravanam one side and seva the other side. Seva of the Harinama, seva of the Vaishnavas. That is bhakti. Descending process of bhakti. And when we are doing it like that, then it means we are receiving descending mercy. Just with this descending mercy, from the first stage, from sadhu sangha bhajana kriya to all the stages of bhakti, we are taken further by the pure devotees through this process of bhakti. That's why bhakti is very potent, because bhakti is Bhagavan himself, which is descending mercy. And the result of Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. What's the result of Jnana Yoga? Is there, merging in Brahman. The Brahman is effulgence of Bhagavan. Bhakti Yoga is already reciprocating with Bhagavan. So the result of Jnana Yoga is already there in Bhakti Yoga. What is the result of Ashtanga Yoga? Here, after all these efforts, is the reciprocation with Paramatma happening. Here the reciprocation is happening right in the beginning only. You did in the Anardha Nivritti itself, because the mind is always geared to how to serve the Lord lovingly. So, and the Anardha Nivritti is happening automatically. So from the very beginning itself, the reciprocation is happening. Though it is distantly in the beginning and it gets more closer down the road. So it is happening from the very beginning only, Bhakti Yoga. So in this way, and Bhakti Yoga, the final goal is reciprocating with Bhagavan in the 4 different rasas. That is even further than the Dasya rasa. Also, here in Ashtanga Yogi, the devotee is still very conscious that the Lord is the Lord of Vaikuntha. There in Goloka, Yogamaya is prevalent. The Lord wants to forget that he is Lord. And the devotees also want to forget that he is Lord. Otherwise, these 4 rasas will not happen. The Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. So that is even more further than the Ashtanga Yoga. So in this way, the result of Bhakti Yoga is far more than Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. And Bhakti is far more potent than Jnana and Ashtanga, because Bhakti is Bhagavan himself, because it is simply descending mercy. And Bhakti is swift. Just within one lifetime, a Bhakti Yoga practitioner can cross through, can go through all these stages. Not go through, is taken through all these stages, because it is descending mercy. As they follow the Bhakti sincerely, as given by the Acharyas, in the association of sincere Sangha, the stages can be rapidly gone through just in one lifetime, as opposed to the other yogas. So these are the advantages, not just advantages of Bhakti Yoga. This is why Bhakti Yoga is the yoga of Kali Yoga. And then we have heard about some Rupa Madhuri of the Lord, the glance of the Lord, the face, lotus face of the Lord, and the lotus feet of the Lord. We will pause here. Thank you all so much. It was a long session. We started at 8:15. This is past 1 hour 15 minutes. Thank you all for your patience. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga. So I'm going to pause here. And it's all up to you. Your reciprocations, please. And your reflections, mainly reflections. Yes, please.
Wonderful class, Mata.